Hello and welcome, fellow travelers. You're listening to the Travel Inspired Podcast, or maybe watching us on our YouTube channel. We're your host and travel agents, Rob and Kerri Stuart, coming to you from the CMV studio in very rainy Orlando, Florida. It is the rainy season right now. This is episode number 162, Royal Caribbean's Star of the Seas.
And on our last show, number 161, we were talking all about Alaska cruise tours. And for this show, we plan to tell you all about our trip to Yellowstone, specifically West Yellowstone.
That was the plan.
Yeah, now that isn't like from Montana, but we realized though we just got off Royal Caribbean's newest ship, the Star of the Seas. And it is really a hot topic with a lot of influencers, travel agents, and they're all sharing what you need to know.
So on this show, we're going to tell you a little bit about the Star of the Seas, and with the focus on really who it's for and who it's not for. Keep in mind, this is not just Royal Caribbean's biggest ship. It is the largest cruise ship in the world, the same size as the Icon of the Seas.
And a special thank you to Royal Caribbean for inviting us on this special 3-night travel agent and media cruise. What we learned is this is definitely a 7-night ship. There's so much to do. So we're going to dive into all of that, and you're going to see why 3 nights just wasn't enough for us.
Exactly. Royal Caribbean, like a bunch of other lines, named the class of the ship after the first ship within that class. So Star of the Seas is the second ship in the Icon class, which means, of course, what does it mean, friends? The first ship was Icon of the Seas.
Now, both of these ships are the largest cruise ships in the world.
They probably argue at home. No, I'm the largest.
But formerly, they were the Oasis of the Seas and the Allure of the Seas. But these ships, they're big. But guess what? They're not for everyone.
That is true. Here are just a few of the numbers that may seem crazy if you've never been on a ship this big. So she holds 5,610 passengers, and that's at double occupancy, with a crew of 2,350.
It's a lot.
That number alone is bigger than a lot of cruise ships. Just for that. That's the crew. Now, again, we're talking double occupancy. If you max out the capacity, they can hold up to 7,514 guests, depending on the configuration, which also means those 2,300 and something cruise members are going to be a lot busier.
Yes, they are.
This ship has a gross tonnage of 250,800 and 2,805 cabins.
Yeah. Now, in comparison, the Oasis of the Seas holds 5,606 passengers at double occupancy, but the maximum capacity is around 6,780. But the crew members there's about 2,100 of them.
Yeah.
The ship has a gross tonnage of 225,282. That's still really big.
It is. And don't try to do this math at home. We've done it for you. So we know if you don't know anything about tonnage, these don't really matter. But having a guest capacity of 7,500, that is a floating city. I can tell you when I was growing up in the 80s in a city called Baldwin, Missouri, outside of St. Louis, there were 10,000 people in the whole city.
Yeah, there you go.
This is crazy.
Now, the Star of the Seas will sail out of Port Canaveral. And one thing I love about this port, and also the one in Miami that is a Royal Caribbean terminal, is they are super efficient getting you on board, which means even though there's a lot of passengers, you can get on board fast.
I think as soon as we walked into the terminal, we were on the ship in not even 5 minutes, maybe 6 minutes.
It was fast. It was fast.
Yes. Now, the traffic getting in and out of the port, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And it's a reason to not drive to the port if you can avoid it, because parking there is pretty much always going to be crazy because there are a lot of ships that sail out of Port Canaveral.
Yeah, there are a ton, but it definitely is nuts. Okay.
They're certified nuts.
Yeah. Now, we could give you all of the stats about, the number of dining, all the must-do food and drinks like everybody else does and all the influencers have been doing. But we really want to focus on who this ship is really going to enjoy this.
As Royal Caribbean promotes this ship, it is all about thrills and chills. That means if you're a thrill seeker and you want to do a lot of wild and crazy stuff to do on the ship, it's going to be a very good fit.
Yeah. So if you're that type of person, here are a few standouts. There is the Crown's Edge, and this is like part rope course and part thrill ride. What happens is you get harnessed up and you literally will walk around the Royal Caribbean logo that is on the side of the ship. It is ginormous, and you're going to walk over the water. Now, you are harnessed in, but that's definitely a thrill.
and something we did not have time to do.
No, we didn't. I mean, it was crazy.
Again, we didn't have time to do this because the wait was very, very long. Because on our cruise, there was no charge, but also we're on a 3-day cruise. So on a 7-day cruise, you'll have a way better chance. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to get it, but this is a $90 per person experience. Another experience for you thrill seekers that is included at no charge is the water park on board, and it's the largest water park at sea.
So we absolutely loved this area. There are definitely a lot of thrills. So it's called Category 6 because it has 6 slides. There are 2 raft slides, 2 dual mat racing slides. So that's kind of fun to do with your family and friends. There's a near vertical free fall slide. And then, of course, the frightening bolt, which is the tallest drop at seas. Lots of thrill rides.
Exactly. We did the raft slide. I mean, they're great. One even kind of hangs out over the ship. Again, lots of thrills. I think we've overused the word thrill.
But that's their thing, is thrills and chills.
But not every paragraph. So, and if the little ones are too short, don't worry. We have a lot for them to do. More on that in just a little bit.
So you thrill seekers are going to love things like laser tag and the Flow Rider Surf Simulator, super popular. You're going to have lots to do on the ship if you love these types of activities. And this doesn't even include what you can do at Perfect Day Coco Cay.
Like the swim up bar.
No, that's not one of the thrills.
That was a thrill for me.
No, so the Perfect Day Coco Cay, if you're not familiar, is the private island of Royal Caribbean in the Bahamas. And that does have a full water park, but you do pay additional for that. It is not included. Plenty of other things are, though, for free.
But what if you're more of a chill person on your cruise? The Star of the Seas is great for you, too. And we're going to start with one of my favorites, the adults only area, and that's called the Hideaway neighborhood. On our cruise, this area was packed because there were very few kids on this ship. Again, it was a travel agent and media type cruise. So again, we knew there were going to be mostly adults on board, but still, we enjoyed the area.
Yeah, it was pretty packed, though. I will say one of the cool features is the infinity pool.
Yeah.
And has some of the best sunset views. And here's what I would do. I would recommend if you want to go up there for the ultimate chill, go early in the morning before everybody is up there on a sea day. Yeah. There's a convenient cocktail bar that's steps away and lots of comfortable seating.
Another popular area in this thing that I'm not going to keep saying chill every 3 seconds is, and it's an adult oriented, is the Swim and Tonic swim up bar. So Royal built this to be the largest swim up bar at sea, and they succeeded. So this one is a very nice place to just a little more peaceful, a little more relaxing.
Until people have been in there for a while and they've had a few too many cocktails. Then I'm going to say it's not as relaxing.
That is true.
Now, on top of that, you do have a couple of other, I'm going to say it, chill areas. So we have chill pools. There's 2 more that are going to be kind of your quiet pools and the spa, of course. Mm-hmm. But picture this, being on vacation, sending the kids away, while you can go and relax in one of these spots. Lots of great areas.
Now, one area that was missing, and the same thing's missing on the icon, is the atrium area that has waiting pools at the front of the ships. They do still have an atrium area with some nice spaces, but not the usual pool hangout. So if you're expecting, you went on Utopia and you're like, oh my gosh, I love the atrium, it's going to be different on the Icon class ships.
Yeah, I agree, because I really did miss that on the ship. Because
a lot of people were talking about that.
Yeah, and instead they put the Aquadome, and that takes up a lot of this giant atrium area. Yes. Now, I do like these things they had called the Overlook Pods. Great place to escape, take a book, go up there and just read, look at the ocean. They also put a bar in this area, and it's also on the Icon. Yeah. And that is the Rye and Bean. So if you're into those trendy espresso martinis, that is your area.
And one of the best kept food secrets is up here in the Aquadome Market. They had pad thai, pulled pork barbecue empanadas, the feta bowls. The crepes were very popular. A lot of people don't know about this area. It's small, and we liked it better than the main buffet. We're not main buffet type of people.
Yeah, so we did go a couple of times to this area. I love the variety, and guess what? It is included, not additional.
And if you're not a total chill or thrill person, can we stop saying this, please? When you're on vacation, there's a lot in between the arcade, the casino, the Water's Edge pool, Lost Dunes mini golf. That was the best.
We tied.
Okay, we tied. But that was my favorite mini golf at sea. It's just something.
It was fun. It was really cute.
It was very challenging. So we recommend you do it early in the morning before it gets too hot, because that area will also not just get hot, But because that mini golf is so cool, it stays pretty busy.
Yes, it does. And it's free. So that's another reason.
Well, mini golf. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
Okay. Or try this. Book, and you got to book this early, as early as you possibly can. And that is the escape room. So there are 2 different ones, and they only hold 12 guests at a time. So you can imagine how quickly they fill up. There are 2 themes. One is an 80s record store type theme, and the other is the 50s diner. Again, it's the same room. They just switch out the theming.
Can you guess why?
Well, because on board Star of the Seas, the Broadway show is Back to the Future, the musical. So you can kind of see how the timing works in there. You got the 80s and the 50s. And we're going to share a little bit more in the very near future about some of those shows. But there are tons of things to do in between. If you're one spectrum or the other, you're like, you know what? I kind of like doing kind of like mid-level fun.
Well, speaking of kids, this ship is ideal for families with small children, also teens, and really, this could be one of the best multi-generational family ships.
I agree. And one of the things that I love on the Icon class is they have a special area away from the main pools that are like up top. And this area is just for kids. It's on deck 7. It's completely adorable. I love the theming here. And it's called Surfside. And a fun feature was that you can enter this area from deck 8 on a slide. Yes. And then I also saw that in one other part of the ship that was out by the main pools where you could go down from one deck to the other on a slide. So I like that little touch.
I do. There is a splashaway bay, a baby bay, the water's edge pool. Also, there's a play climbing area just for kids.
Yeah. And don't forget the carousel.
Yes.
There's no additional charge for that.
We rode that.
You did. Yeah. We got some great video you can see there.
I rode while you were taking pictures.
But we did notice that they had a ton of seating so you can have your kids go play. You can watch your little ones. One thing I really liked, though, there were a lot of lifeguards there, way more than I would expect for that size of area. Plus, there was plenty of food right in Surfside and some drinks and a bar right there.
Okay, so let's talk about the entertainment we mentioned a few minutes ago and who it's for. Again, this ship is not short on things to see, from dueling piano to karaoke. They have a blues bar, a music hall, lots of music, and also some late night shows, which we aren't totally into for the late night parties and entertainment. That's just not our thing. But if that is your style, this ship's perfect.
And, you know, I feel like you could do something new every single night.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. So
you'd have to be on there for a month.
No, really. There were so many like little nooks and crannies and little bars that pop up everywhere. But the star for us, as I would say, on Star of the Seas were the main show.
Yeah.
There's an ice skating show, and I felt like this was phenomenal. Probably my favorite of the 3 that we saw.
I would agree. The indoor water show, Torque, was also very, very well done. The seating for both of those shows is very limited, so make sure as soon as you can make reservations, go ahead and grab them. And the same goes for Back to the Future, the musical. Now, the highlight for me was we heard, and it was started as a rumor. Someone said, "Hey, Bob Gale's on the ship." And, "Hey, Bob Gale's in the show." If you don't know, I do know. Bob Gale, along with, they call them the 2 Bobs, but Robert Zemeckis, were the 2 writers from Back to the Future. And because of the type of cruise we were on, they did a couple shows during the day as well. And from what we understood, he was there every time. I got a picture with him, and I'll say my favorite movie trilogy ever, and being able to meet the guy that wrote it. Now, here's the little backstory. Bob Gale is from St. Louis.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Did you tell me that?
That was the surprise.
Okay.
So, yeah, he's from St. Louis, and he had gone back, and I think his father had passed away.
He gone back in time?
Oh, God, you didn't just do that. That was, and he was going through his dad's yearbook. Here's how he came up with the idea. He said, "I wonder if I went to school at the same time as my dad, would we be friends?" And that was the whole concept behind Back to the Future.
I didn't know that. So he did go back in time,
he did,
so to say.
All the way from St. Louis.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, this show, though, was, aside from that little moment for you, because you were like...
I was geeking out.
You were geeking out a little bit. But the technology for this show was incredible. Now, it is a longer show, but a full Broadway show. It was very well produced, and the special effects were so impressive.
Exactly. So you want to get this reservation as soon as you can. We don't know if they're going to do it before you board the ship. Sometimes they change itineraries around. But as soon as you get on the ship, go and get that reservation. Another really cool thing is when we were walking into the terminal, they had the DeLorean with a photo op We don't know if that's going to be
I don't know
there.
if they're going to be there all the time.
Okay, if it's not there, don't blame me, but I would think for a while they're going to keep the DeLorean out there.
I think so. Now, we did have the opportunity to tour a lot of the staterooms on the ship. They open them up for the travel agents. So a couple of standouts were some of the family suites, including several that are going to hold 5 or more guests. This is so important for some families.
And as you can imagine, there are some incredible suites on this ship. So we're going to start with the top, and that is the ultimate family, get this, townhouse.
And it's a townhouse.
It's 3 stories. It has its own slide. It sleeps up to 8. It has its own backyard. This is insane.
It was incredible. And when I was touring the stateroom, everyone that was there was saying, I don't think I would ever need to leave the room. I mean, the backyard area alone, it had its own entrance and exit to the Surfside area, which makes this a great option for a family with little kids. I loved this stateroom.
I will say for the price, you might not even want to leave. Just stay there. Let them bring you food.
Exactly.
So one feature of many staterooms on this ship are several what they call infinite balconies. Now, these are different than your regular, standard view balconies. And infinite is where there's a floor-to-ceiling window and the top half can be lowered.
And some people really like these, and some people are like, nope, I want my regular balcony. I want to go outside.
That's us.
Now, there is a separation in the room, but it's not a true door.
Yeah.
We have stayed in this type of stateroom before on another ship, and when it was warm and you have that open, the humidity just floods in your stateroom. But again, it is kind of a cool, like floor-to-ceiling look.
This ship has several more cabins that will hold 5 or more guests, also with several connecting rooms. But they don't have a lot of ocean view. And like the Oasis class, they have some of those balcony staterooms that have balconies, and some in this case, they turned into infinite balconies that face inward the central park on this ship.
Yeah, and then also the Surfside area.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a stateroom for everybody on the Star. And so we stayed in a family suite overlooking the Surfside area. We barely saw the ocean, though.
But we've seen the ocean a lot, so we're good.
I know, but if you're in Central Park, you're not going to see the ocean at all, just the Central Park, which is beautiful. But I loved our family suite for a couple of reasons. Number one is the split bathroom.
I know, a big nod to Disney.
I know. And this feature is with this type of stateroom. It's not on all of them, so don't plan on that unless you book this room.
Well, the size of the room was larger than regular balconies. The main reason is there a little area that has like a full-size pull-out couch that could easily fit 2 small kids, not 2 teenagers.
Maybe one teenager.
Maybe one, yeah. And they had their own TV too, so you can check out that stateroom tour on our YouTube channel.
I loved how big the shower was in this room.
That was impressive.
But one thing I didn't really care for was the lack of counter space.
You are big on counter space.
Well, I like my counter space. But they did, though, have several drawers in the bathrooms, which a lot of times they don't. And the closet space was really good.
There was a ton on that. When we got off the ship, we said, this really is perfect for families. And again, like we said, multi-gen families. The kids club is large. Also, you can get wristbands for your kids so you can keep track of them at all times while they are on the ship. The Wi-Fi was actually pretty good. And there were bar and food options at every corner.
I know, literally every corner.
There was also a little shop that sold really nice purses like Louis Vuitton.
There were. Lots of shops.
Remember going in there?
Lots of shops. Okay. Who this ship is not for. So if you are someone who likes to wing it, walk on board, and still try everything, that doesn't really work here because you do need reservations for the shows and for some of the experiences. And so, you need to plan for this cruise.
If you don't like paying for extras, most of the mass market ships do this. So for this ship, if you want the specialty dining, the escape rooms, the drink packages, you will be paying extra. So those things can add up.
One thing I love and don't like about this ship, though, is the size. Yeah. So if you forgot something and you have to go all the way back to your cabin, it can take a while because it's a big ship.
It is.
And if you want to feel like you really are on the ocean, you got to make sure you're booking the right cabin or at least know where to hang out on the ship so that you can see that. Because you could literally just feel like you were in a city the whole time.
Of course, I agree. The main pools face the middle of the ship, so not the water. There are a couple that do face out, but you have to know where to find them. For this ship specifically, you have to know how to get around and figure out where everything is.
So the Star has lots of dining options. So if you do choose this ship, work with your travel agent to know where they are.
Maybe your dietitian.
Yeah, or your dietitian. I mean, We saw, this is crazy, the longest lines on the ship. And again, we were not at full capacity. Guess where it was at? I know you know, so you can't answer. It was Starbucks, right outside that big iconic Pearl that the Icon class is known for every day, which is crazy because they could have gone to another location for probably better coffee somewhere else on the ship.
Now, one of our favorite places to grab a bite, and we did this several times,
Yes, we did,
is Sorrento's Pizza, which is a staple on all of the Royal Caribbean ships. It was great, lots of seating, and don't let the number of guests on board scare you. We talked with a crew member who said on the sister ship, when it's full, it still doesn't feel full.
Yeah, so the obvious person the Star of the Seas is for is the Royal Caribbean loyal fan.
Yes, royal to loyal.
That is true.
No, I mean, loyal to royal. See, I said that wrong.
You said that wrong. Loyal to royal. So here's our tip. Get on this ship if you're one of those loyal to royal fans and collect all the ships. There are so many people that fall in this category.
And again, special thanks to our good friend and our rep, Amy, for inviting us onto this amazing ship. And if you're listening and thinking you want to enjoy a cruise on this ship, let's chat. A great way to not only save money, but also have even more fun on the ship. Go with your friends and family.
Yeah, and we can definitely help you secure some special exclusives just for your group. So reach out to us or one of our Creating Magic Vacations travel agents. All you have to do is go to our website, the link is in the show notes, and click on Plan a Vacation.
And I'll leave you with this. If you don't go, you don't know.
And travel is always better with friends.